Hey, welcome into episode, what is it, Michael? 12? Episode
It's
12, season 4. Thanks for joining us. I'm your host at GASOCast, alongside at iFilmHoopers, Michael Timmons, at GASOLinden, and at GASOBlue. Thanks for joining us today. We got a lot of stuff coming at you, and we're excited to get going. But before we do, are you laughing at the wave?
Yeah, the wave is crazy. The wave is crazy.
Let's get it going here with some house cleaning. Gasso Fast Break, that'll be dropping on Friday. We got tons of players that we're going to talk about. And I'm gonna just give you a little tease with some of the teams that we'll be mentioning. Austin Bowie, Smithson Valley, Pflugerville Weiss, San Antonio Harlan, San Antonio Clark, San Antonio Vets Memorial, Lake Highlands, Dallas St. Mark's, Lancaster, Brentwood Christian, Kingwood, Cy Falls, Port Arthur Memorial, Iowa Colony, Fort Bend Clements, and many more. So jump on that Gasso Fast Break. A lot of players are going to be talked about this week and moving forward for the Christmas season. Recruiting Simplified Patreon, jump on board. I just dropped an interview with Ryan Glennie, and it was really, really helpful, and I think a lot of kids could benefit from it. So that. Private school rankings do drop tomorrow. We're excited to release those, and we hope we're excited. We hope you like those. Showcase and bracket schedules are still up. We have one more week of tournaments, and then we go on break, and then there will be another wave of tournaments. So keep using that. And then, like I said, it is media season for the Gasso crew. So if you are not following us on every social media channel, we're doing different stuff on every channel. We're putting out tons of content, and we want you to be a part. Let's move into champions. There are a lot of champions, a lot of people that need their flowers, and I'm going to pass it to you, Lyndon, to kind of give us a breakdown of everything that happened last weekend.
Yeah, so first off, Denton Geyer winning the Spring Creek Barbecue Tournament over in Mansfield. That's always a really fun tournament, a loaded field. Impressive win for those guys. We'll be moving up in the rankings probably when we update those right before the break.
When you beat Summit and Lancaster back-to-back, you've kind of earned it. Silas Rodriguez hit a game winner over Summit. It was pretty awesome to watch. So, yeah. Just co-sign.
Yeah. No doubt. Stony Point, who I got to see, and Timmons got to see, taking care of business at Jack Frost. And we'll talk a little bit more about them later. Parish Episcopal going down to the Northeast ISD, Northside ISD in San Antonio, and taking care of business down there, beating Reagan in a tight one. Flower Mound Marcus, Jaden Romney.
I was there for that, by the way.
Yeah.
Frequent flyer miles down to San Antonio. I saw that game.
Yeah. Jaden Romnanon, probably the performance of the weekend, 53 points for Flower Mound Marcus in their win over the San Antonio ISD tournament.
What'd you say? He was 18 for 30 from the field?
18 for 30, 8 of 14 from 3. So, wow. Yeah.
I saw him have a 16-point quarter. So, I just believe it. It's when that guy gets cooking, it's a wrap.
Yeah. Belton takes care of business in the Lorena tournament. Fort Bend, Austin. I was at Anderson. Got to see the semifinals of that one, and they ended up beating Fort Bend Travis in the championship game there. Me and Timmons both stopped in at Austin Bowie, saw Billy White, Sean Mondragon take care of business and kind of roll over the field on their way to a championship at Austin Bowie. The Woodlands Christian Blue got to get his eyes on them. In the Mustang Classic, they ended up taking care of business at Houston Christian. Dallas Green Hill wins the Grace Prep Invitational. We'll talk about them a little bit later. I know Mass is chomping at the bit to talk about one of those guys who went off in that game.
Yep.
North Crowley goes out to Abilene, wins the Canes Key City Classic. Friendship staying in West Texas wins the Gene Messer in Lubbock. Fort Bend Hightower kind of flown under the radar, but made a big splash this weekend, winning the Carlisle Kruger in the Clear ISD tournament down in Houston. Austin St. Michael's takes care of business at the Pflugerville Invitational that myself and Timmons were all over the place for Thursday and Friday. And then, Dallas Jesuit Mass was there. Got to see them take care of business at the Knights of Columbus. And then finally, in the small school ranks, probably the most notable tournament result, Kuntz winning the Lipan Championship, beating the hosts in the championship game, making a statement as they're 3A number 2 right now and looking to make a big push this season.
That's good stuff. Let's talk some recruiting here. What can players be doing right now to get attention? Blue, I'm going to pass this one to you, and we can kind of roundtable it.
Okay, I'm just going to look at the social media aspect of this a little bit. I think that there's so many great things that are happening out there on Twitter X that coaches are being very they're getting the information out. Game by game, tournament by tournament, which I think is very helpful. The players themselves are starting to really crank up their highlight film, which I know y'all probably talk about a little bit more. But those are the kind of things that need to continue to keep going and don't get exhausted with it and not do it. I mean, this has to be an entire season-long practice of always hitting on the content from the high school coaches and the players. Because, hey, guys, I will say I was disappointed that I was – at one game, I won't mention which one it was, but there was only numbers in it. This is a high school tournament. Only numbers, no names. Go to Max Preps. Nothing on Max Preps for a roster. And then went to their website, their athletic website. Nothing on there. Not much more I could do without taking up a coach's time during a game to try to find more information out, which was going to be very difficult.
Yeah, I guess at GASO's, we're able to, if they don't put names in the roster, we're going over to the summer coaches during the game and be like, who's number 3? We can't quite do that at high school, but we're all sitting in bleachers all over the state of Texas at this time of the year, really getting excited about a kid. And if all we see is number 3 and that's all we can get, it hurts us because, we're trying our best we can. And it's kind of deflating a lot of times, like Blue says, it's because we want to do our best. And just some of these programs just help out people like GASO a little bit more, because the more you help us, the more we help you. So
and help the kid.
Love it.
Helps the kid.
I've noticed a trend. I've been having a lot of conversations right now, just with college coaches, and they've been mentioning the gaps they have in their current rosters. And I just urge you guys, everybody listening, now is a great time to reach out. Like, you could spark interest with a coach that you may not have had an opportunity to because you fit a skill set that they're looking for, whether that's shooting, space creation, defense, toughness, whatever those things are about your game that stands out. Strike while the iron's hot. And, when I talk to these college coaches and they're frustrated, I don't have shooting, I don't have toughness. Well, guess what? You could slide into those DMs and have an opportunity. You know what I'm saying? So, strike while the iron's hot right now, and do not stop with your outreach. That's just my 2 cents. Lyndon?
Yeah, for me, something that kind of was the theme of the weekend for, trying to pick through and level different players and, giving yourself a reason for a coach to go to bat for you. And what I mean by that is not trying to, do too much, not being the bad body language guy, not trying to show your coach up whenever he pulls you from the game and you throw your hands and go sit at the end of the bench and all that stuff. And because, I sat with college coaches of every level this weekend, and all of them were saying, you know what, I would find out more about that kid, but his attitude just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. There's no reason for me to even try to go down that, possibility. So players, please help yourself out. Be a good teammate. Don't do the dumb things that if you want to show up your coach, that's not the way to get recruited. That's not the way to say, you know what, I'm ready to play ball at the next level, because they're not going to deal with that. And you're not going to end up with that opportunity if you continue to do that and make that mistake.
I'm loving Edgy Gasso right now, for the record.
Yeah, and I'll hop in real quick. I didn't write anything. I told y'all if I had something, I would say it. Winning also helps a lot. And then there's also a reset. There's a lot of non-district and tournaments. Now kids are starting district. District storylines are our favorite things to talk about. This team's 3-0 in district versus this team 3-0. So just reset. If you didn't have Dickinson's one of the ones that we talked about last year, where they ran the table in district, but they almost had a 500 record overall. I know there were some injuries and stuff involved, but you can reset your season now and just focus on district. And regardless of what your current record is, go out there and grind and win, because people are more prone to talk about winning teams, especially when we get closer to playoffs and storylines like that. So reset, because winning makes people talk about you even more.
Good word. Teams that helped their stock this past weekend. Blue, I'm passing it to you.
Yeah, we're getting ready to do those TAPS rankings, and they're going to be a little bit different rather than just saying in-season ranking. We're really looking toward who are the best coming into basically into their district here, so people can digest those over the next couple of weeks. But one team that really helped themselves was the Woodlands Christian, and I saw them go. They win by about 20 points against St. John's, and they hit 18 3-pointers in the game. Trey, the sophomore, Trey Pinker hit 5. Nick Brashard hit 5. And then Howie Keene goes for 6 of his own. So, I mean, right there was 16 between those three for the entire game. And it was like everything they threw up, it was going to go in. They went on to beat St. Francis in the finals, like Lyndon mentioned. Howie Keene was the MVP. But those guys really are starting. I've seen them in 2 separate weekends, and they have actually gotten better over the last couple of weeks. A lot of confidence, a lot of sharing the ball. They have a lot of pieces at the guard spot, the wings, the forwards, and then also inside with Landon Harris. I mean, there's a lot to like about this team, and they put it all together from won a championship.
I love it. I'll hop in here with Dallas Greenhill. We know who Dallas Greenhill is. Are really good. The guard 1-2 punch of Jackson Thompson and Dylan Watt. Well, I got to see them this weekend with a hampered Jackson Thompson. Something's going on with his hip flexor. He played through it. He fought through it. He had actually a very efficient game. But it was really cool to see, like, hey, we're going to have to lean on Dylan today. And Dylan was phenomenal. I've seen this Greenhill team now in a couple different ways, and they're still going to be a force regardless. Dylan was dicing up the defense. I have some highlights that are pretty impressive that I'll put out at some point. But Dylan was scoring, passing, doing whatever he needed to do to get it going, and I think he had 30-plus in the game that I watched. Not to mention sophomore Trey Davis, who made some plays, and Big Cam Smith really getting better game by game. That's a dangerous team because the guard play is just so good. So I'm really interested when where they fall in these rankings. So you'll see tomorrow. Mike?
Yeah, for me, we talked about the champions earlier. These are 2 teams that didn't win the championship in the events, but I felt like they learned a lot about themselves. Let's talk about Argyle, 4-1 at the Jack Frost, and their 2 best players, Cash Polk and Big Francis, are still coming back from injury, so they're under some load management. And unfortunately, the way the pool play was set up, they were not allowed or able to play against Stony Point, which is probably one of the bigger games of the weekend. They ended up losing that game by 12, which I was at a Stony Point game there where they won by 50 or so. So there's freshmen stepping up, there's players and finding that identity. And I think Perkins and that staff are just like, let's learn as much as we can about ourselves, because when we get into district, we know how to play our type of basketball, and hopefully they get healthier and healthier. And the other team is San Antonio Reagan. They lose to Parish Episcopal in the North Side ISD tournament, and they're up by 4 at halftime. You're up by 4 at halftime against one of the most tough, one of the best teams in Texas, let's just be honest. And you have a squad in Reagan that plays them tough the whole way through. Parish ends up getting that win, but you're sitting there and you're like, okay, we're just as tough. We're going to continue to find identity. We're going to have more players step up, and they should feel really, really good about their showing in that event.
Lyndon?
Yeah, for me, as Timmons mentioned, Stony Point earlier, we both got to see them, but one guy specifically, because we've talked a lot about Uzziah Bunton, Landon Short, Elijah Clemens, Jaden Cruz on this show, but Devin Lineberger has really developed into that missing piece that was one of the question marks coming into the year for them. How do they replace Josiah Mosley's defense presence, especially on the interior? And his defense has gotten so much better. I remember watching him at the Mavs Fall Classic back at Panther Creek, and Coach Thompson was riding him pretty hard about being more physical, being more active. And here we are 3-4 weeks later, and he showed me that in that win over Liberty Hill where he was all over the place. He scored like 13, 14 points, but his rebounding has gotten so much better. He's playing with toughness. He's playing with confidence. So Stony Point wins that big top 10 matchup over Lake Highlands and kind of cements themselves as, one of the true contenders in Region 4 going into this district slate.
That's a good word. Let's move into another subject here. Worth the drive. Some of us had to drive a really long time. Some of us didn't. Blue, who was worth the drive for you?
There's two guys, but let me tell you why this was worth the drive, because this was the third time was the charm when I finally got to see Elijah Williams. I mean, the poor kid had been hurt and banged up early on in the season. Michael and I went to a tournament in I guess both of the tournaments that they were in San Antonio and South San, and also at the Alamo City. So getting to be able to see him healthy. He's on the sidelines with his teammates laughing, just having a good time, as friends, and that chemistry goes out into the bleeds out onto the court. And this guy, I really love his ability of being physical, of getting to the basket whenever he wants. He's almost like too good when it comes to getting by his defender, because at this high school level, he's just getting by and doing whatever he wants. And he's a really good finisher, great body control. That's the one thing. And and also, as I was thinking and I was really watching him play, he's a mid-range and in kind of guy right now. I think there's going to be some time here that he's going to be challenged to push him out past the perimeter, further in the perimeter, past the 3-point line. That I really want to see him knock down some shots. The other worth the drive was Reese Alston, sophomore from Houston Second Baptist. I think he has one of the best early head coaches here, young Taylor Land, who's just giving him and feeding him all of his knowledge from the college game that Taylor was at. And Reese also having a lot of pedigree himself. He's going out there and producing. The Houston market of point guards in the 2027 class, we won't get into this right now, but it's pretty eye-popping. And there will be some heavy discussions once we get to the rankings themselves for the 2027 class. But Reese the biggest thing about him, he controls pace. I went back and I was looking through a GASOCast break, got to Tim Littlefield's write up on him. What did he say? Without my knowledge of knowing this before the hand, pace. So there's a lot of consistency here from a very young individual who's out there leading his team, facing Houston St. Francis, who has a bunch of studs on their teams, and he's able to make an impact for Houston Second Baptist and getting them within 2 to 3 points, getting them to overtime in the game I watch. And so you got to just keep an eye on him, because I think his growth, where he's at right now, his ceiling's very high.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with that more, simply because, too, like, his IQ's there. So as he continues to grow physically and gets to do more, yeah, I love that point, Blue. It wasn't a terribly long drive for me to go to Dallas Jesuit. That is a awesome feeling when I only get to drive 5 minutes to go to the game. But it was worth the drive to watch the late night South Lake versus Melissa game. Austin Gooseby, obviously must-see TV. We've talked about him at nauseum. He's our number 2 player, ranked, pushing for that number 1 spot. Like, we know how we feel about Austin Gooseby. On the other side of the ball, Ari Tuma, quick note, averaging 28 points a game at South Lake Carroll, was unbelievable, was throwing this crossover step and getting by anybody he felt like at Melissa, scoring from the 3-point line, getting into the lane, floaters, finishing at the rim, doing everything. And just to watch him compete, they were down 6-10 just about the whole game. And, South Lake pushes it and gets to I believe they take the lead or tied it up in some respect, but Ari was a huge reason why. He had 29. Gooseby had 29. It was just a really, really fun game. And Ari Tuma, couldn't say enough about the performance. It was one of the better ones I've seen this year. Mike?
Yeah, for me, I headed down to Austin, but I had to go to San Antonio first to drop off Tiger. I need to get him like service dog. Could y'all imagine me like going to gyms with like my dog? Let's get that figured out. So I had to drive to San Antonio early, left at like 5 a.m. I wanted to get back to Austin Bowie to see Austin Bowie, the host school. I got there late in the middle of the third quarter. You'd think that's plenty of time to get an evaluation. Well, they're up by 40. So they had a lot of young talent. And so I saw the future of Austin Bowie there. Linda got to catch him the rest of the weekend. But I wanted to get to the gym for Corpus Christi Veterans Memorial in Cedar Hill. I was like, if we're going to see this team down in Corpus that we think has a shot to get to state this year, I wanted to see him against somebody like Cedar Hill that was going to be physical, fast, and make them work. And it was a great game. And my thoughts leaving that was like, it's not just something cute to talk about Corpus Christi Veterans Memorial, a team from Corpus possibly making it a state. There should be one of the favorites to do so. Obviously, Billy and Sean Mondragon are the featured, but yesterday on our scouting service, we added 3 to 4 new guys also. So they're deep. young talent, versatile talent, and they're not walking into any gym being like, well, we're Corpus. I don't know how we stack up. No, they know they belong, and they're coming at everybody, and they had an impressive showing. So that was definitely worth the drive to really see that Corpus Christi Veterans Memorials for real.
Lennon?
Yeah, for me, Friday night at the Anderson tournament, got to see both of the Fort Bends that have kind of been on our radar this year. Fort Bend Travis started out the year undefeated. And then Fort Bend Austin actually took Kingwood down to the wire. Case and Scipio hit a three-pointer with 6 seconds left to give them the win in a tight, kind of a chess matchy sort of game. But Shai Patel produced again. Those two ended up lifting the championship on Saturday over Fort Bend Travis, who I saw in the late one. And we got to talk about Cameron Newsom because his ability to shoot, he's so pure. He's bouncy. He rebounds. Was all over the place for Fort Bend Travis against Rockwall, and I came away really impressed as another kid in the Houston area 2026 class who is starting to make a name for himself.
Love it. Next subject, recruit him. This is just our opportunity to advocate for a player that we believe needs to have more recruitment going on. So, Blue, who's that guy for you?
Oh, y'all have to get online to stream this guy to really to get what I'm talking about here with Izu Imalife. This guy's 6'6", 6'7", and I don't even know if I've really talked to y'all a whole bunch about this. So he's got.
He was awesome last year. I do know about him.
Yeah. So talking to Chris Harefield. He stands out when awesome. You're watching him. So talking to his head coach Chris Harefield, first off, he's the only returner from last year's team that went to was it regionals?
Regional finals.
Regional finals. Okay. He said he's a 100% committed kid. He's like having an extra coach on the basketball court. He knows what Coach Harefield wants, and he'll bark orders out, and he just loves his teammates. And so he's got a little bit of DJ Hall to him. The body, I think he lacks a little bit of that true face-up game that DJ has, but the ability to go off the dribble, 1 or 2 dribbles to go score, rebounding, his big, strong body. He's lost tons of weight to be able to get him into that athletic build of just spinning off the defender, pushing them out of the way. He's something to see because I think that he's stepping on the side of being a Division I player. He has offers from JUCOs. He has Lamar and including Rice because he's a good student, starting to come around and trying to peek their head in there a little bit to see what it is about Izu, because he's got a lot of little tools that need to be polished and need to continue to be worked on in college. But man, I was raving about him 2 weeks ago, and I'm glad I finally get my chance to really speak it on the GASOcast.
Love it, Blue. I'm going to go with 2 bigs here. Ezzy Wakama from Mansfield Lake Ridge. I just love his game. He's got length. He really impacts the defensive side of the floor with how he guards people. And then I saw him do a lot of impressive things. When you play Lancaster, that's the game I watched him against, you're going to have to go up against Devin Pearson and Amari Reed. I mean, those are 2 signed D1 players who are really good, really athletic. And Eze right now is not. And, I saw him in the pick and roll, catching, making passes out of short roll, doing teardrops over the outstretched arms of these guys. And he just had a great game. I mean, just was so impactful. They ended up losing the game, but it was very tight. And quite frankly, Eze was the reason why they were really in the game. He was phenomenal. I've got nothing but great things to say about him, and I think you should go recruit him. The length is insane. The next guy is Evan Duncan, Plano Prestonwood. Every time I go watch this kid, he's so easy to advocate for because all he does is play the right way. He's a high-end motor guy, interior, scores in the interior, rebounds the basketball, and he's constant pressure. They put him at the top of their press. He's just flying around nonstop, tons of effort. Those kids are so easy to advocate for, and I was just really impressed with Evan. He had 25, I believe, in the game that I watched. Against John Paul. He was just great. So I wanted to really put my stamp of approval on those 2 guys that they need to be recruited right now. Mike?
Yeah, for me, Jordan Jones of Richardson Berkner 2025. It was my second time seeing Berkner this year, and the second time I saw him, it was, I think, a week and a half different. And you can just see, like, it's great to see teams this time of year start to figure it out. We try to watch teams more than once if we can, and I got to see Berkner, and they end up only losing one game down at Pflugerville ISD. But you can see Jordan Jones just bring an identity to that Berkner team. Averaged 18 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals. He's 6'3", but his frame and how he's put together makes him look 6'5". I think I was talking to one of y'all about that.
It was me. We were talking about. We were like, he looks bigger than that.
He looks bigger. His first step on the baseline is killer. He's gonna if he gets one step on you, help side better come because he's dunking it. And his steals, he jumps passing lanes, but in the right way. Mass, I know you're a coach by heart, so I know you sometimes get annoyed when guys try to chase steals, but it just seems like he has a knack for when to go get it. Sure. He's a dog, I know, and I don't say that loosely. Not everybody's a dog, but he's hungry. He plays hard. 7 rebounds. He's just always in the mix. Gets a lot done on the interior. He's just a problem if you don't account for him. And he had a really, really big weekend and a really, really high-level event. So, yeah, Jordan Jones, Richardson Berkner is a guy that college coaches need to be paying attention to.
Lyndon, round us out here.
Yeah, 2 more bigs to talk about because, first off, Jack Siders had one of the more impressive games I've seen this year. Scored 24 of his team's 26 first-half points. And, wasn't forcing it. He was just taking what was available to him. And his ability at 6'7", with a nice frame, to put the ball on the floor, go finish through contact, adjust his body around the rim, that's something, this kid needs to be high on the priority list of college coaches in the state of Texas because he has been producing at an elite level. He finished with 38 in that game. I think he had 37 another time that weekend. So he's putting up gaudy numbers. And then you talk about another big at the Anderson tournament, Hudson Gellner, healthy and making life miserable on people who try to score in the paint against him. I mean, he's so solid. Very strong build. He's able to seal and do whatever he needs to with the back to the basket. Good passer out of it. He was a double-double basically every game that I kept up with from that tournament. So 2 more bigs that need to recruit these dudes because they're definitely scholarship guys at the next level.
Yeah, for this next segment, it's 2 p.m. To the 313 people that are watching live right now that need a little pick-me-up, it's Celsius boys time. Blue, we were all over the place this weekend, put a lot of miles on the car. We can't be at our best at all times. We needed a Celsius boy to pick us up. Who was that for you?
It was a Celsius team with Clear Lake. I mean, it was a 7:30. I believe it was at 7:30 at night, trying to round out the day on last Thursday, and Clear Lake goes, I think they hit their first 8 threes. Like, they were just in the first quarter on fire. I think they hit 12 in the first 3 quarters. Their Tommy Penders had his starters in and out. Tanner Pyle in the first quarter hits 3 3-pointers. Scoville hits 2. Marshall hits 3. So it's like these guys are out there playing their type of basketball because that's what they do, right? And then you have a great point guard like Barclay that's out just feeding his teammates. And so Tanner hits 3. He gets fouled on another 3-pointer. So I'll give him 4 because he went to the free throw line and knocked down all 3 free throws. And so, playing against Galveston ball, I felt for them because they just weren't going to be able to catch up. Like once the lead was like 26 or 28-5, Clear Lake was clearly in control, and it's just hard to overcome that whenever that switch needs to that Celsius needs to kick in for anybody. They just can give the ball to anybody on the court to knock down those threes.
Well, if you know anything. Yeah. If you know anything about me, I'm an early riser, like super early riser, and I'm a super go to bed guy early. And coffee time, Celsius time rolls around about 1 to 2:30, and the first game of the Jesuit Knights of Columbus hits around 2:30, and I'm like, oh man, it's going to be a late night tonight. And of course, Xander Brzezinski is the first one I see with Frisco Memorial. This guy was everywhere, dunking the basketball, blocking shots, just putting his stamp on the game. I'm talking almost triple-double territory, 20 points, around 10 or 11 boards, 7-8 blocks. Like he really just it was all Xander. And there's no one else that could have stolen the show like that. And you know what? I'm naturally a guard guy, but man, I've been talking about a lot of bigs lately. So coming around on me, and Xander made a point there.
Lyndon?
Yeah, for me, late night, day one, Pflugerville Henderson, you got the, what was that, 8 o'clock tip, something like that, 7:30 tip.
I couldn't have made that.
Yeah. But seeing Odessa Permian for the first time this year, and KJ Miller, freshman kid, their assistant Al Harrison hit me up at one point earlier in the year. Is like, hey, come check out this freshman I have over here. And he did not disappoint. This is a smooth guard who gets to his spots, hits shots, and then you throw in the experience of a Rael Moses who, plays above the rim and just plays so physical. That's a good team, and they took care of business in that game to kind of pick me up and give me a little energy going into day 2 of my weekend.
Yeah, I'll finish this one up. I went down to San Antonio after I covered Austin for 2 days. So Saturday morning, I'm staying at my grandfather's house. A cold front came in, so the house was 82. Then I had to hop on to 1604, which is a 50-minute drive, raining. I needed to crack a Celsius open at 10:30. And
did you stop and get a bean and cheese?
No, I did not.
Bill Miller's?
I did not.
I didn't know they sell them all day. They sell them all day.
They are all day. But I want to see John Jay. John Jay, I heard they were pissed. They lost to Parrish in the second round. So I want to see how they responded. And they responded in big way. Jaden Guillen, 34 points, was my Celsius guy.
He's a true
John
Celsius
Jay
guy. That's a real Celsius guy.
Absolutely. And not only did I say that, but I also, in the group chat, I was like, he's a real college basketball player. Because we've seen it so many times with BTA at our events and Gasso and his ability to just always get going. But he continues to do it. This John Jay team is going to outscore you, and they have a real path to go to state as well. Because when you have somebody like Jaden, who might be their third to fifth option on most nights with how much depth they have in that starting five, to score 34, he had 30. And then Cam Garza came over to the table next to me. He's like, I have the best shooter in the state. Watch, I'm going to keep giving him the ball. And he ended up finishing with 34. But just really great to see a kid like that when you're trying to scout for John Jay, like, imagine the guy that's like, imagine the kid that has to be like, oh, well, he's guarding Jackson, you're guarding Garza, and you have to guard Guillen tonight. And that third defender better be ready to guard him, or he's going to give you 30.
Oh, that team is so ridiculously fun. And I mean, Cam Garza's like flirted with a quad double like 3 different times this year.
Yep.
That's always fun to see across the timeline.
Coach, something else to add to that is that even teams from out of town are talking about John Jay. Had somebody from Houston that had to face him early on, saying, you know what, we play them again, we're not coming out with a win. You got to really be on your toes to play this team. And I think that's really a huge compliment, because as we go along here, eventually a Region 4 team is going to win state. I'm not saying that they're the ones. I'm just saying they're the last ones to do it. But it's just kind of fun to talk to other high school coaches to see what they think of certain teams, because they're also keeping up with our rankings and so forth of team rankings. So it's just been fun traveling around.
Okay, a couple more segments left. Texas Hoopers at the next level. This is a fun one just to keep tabs. And today, not even by we didn't talk about it, but we did 4 different levels. And it's just really fun to just kind of advocate. Like, we care about college basketball in totality, not just Division I here. We're going to talk about everyone. And if you're being successful and we have a chance to advocate for you or talk about you, we are going to do it. So who is that guy for you, Blue?
Kind of made some low-hanging fruit here, but when you listen to the stats, this guy's really got it together with PJ Haggerty. I think that we knew this coming out of Houston, where he was at Crosby High School. This guy can go off every single game. The consistency in which he puts up. Get this, he's playing 36 minutes a game. Like, he's out there with little rest. He's 23 points per game, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 4 turnovers a game. I think that, let's not look at that so much as a negative as much as that's how much the ball is in his hands at Memphis.
He's always been a high usage rate guy. Blue.
Yeah.
It's just going to naturally happen when you have the ball in your hands that much.
Yeah, so it doesn't scare me that much. And then he's helped lead Memphis to a 7-2 overall record. He went for 27-9 versus Auburn, and then of course 22 22-3-5 versus UConn, which I believe they won. I think that was a Maui Classic over Thanksgiving week. So you know what, a lot for to continue to keep an eye on him, just because he's a fun watch. I mean, anytime that you're by the television, Memphis is playing, check out PJ.
No doubt. I'll go with Kamani Cyber. You know, I'm always looking to get better in this space. I was going through the 2024 database yesterday in our scouting service, and I was just like, where's he doing? Where's he at? What's he doing? And I came across Kamani Cyber, North Crowley alum. We really liked him, you know, and we had him as a Division I kid. He ended up going JUCO, and as a freshman at Hillsboro JUCO in Florida, he's averaging 10 points, 6 assists, and 3 boards as a freshman at a really good JUCO. On 45% from the field and 40% from 3 splits. It's just like, it just shows the depth of Texas. Like, the kid's killing it. And, you know, he's going to have a pick of the litter of where he wants to go next year on scholarship, because he's doing this as a freshman. And it's hard to play a significant role as a freshman at a junior college, period, end of story.
Especially in Florida, where the JUCO is rich.
Where the JUCO is rich.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's gotten even better right now. So, Mike?
Yeah, for me, Camden Ross, Steele High School, alumni at Shriner, senior. This is just like a case study for go somewhere where you're going to play, get better, buy in, and I promise you, at the end of your college experience, all that other stuff about, oh, well, this is just D3, or I thought I was this level. Camden just broke the SCAC, which is the conference they're in, all-time rebounding record.
Really good conference.
So now you're in, and we've told kids all the time, and like we've had conversations where it's like that kid could be an All-American there at that level. Camden's an All-American. He's averaging 23 points, 12 rebounds this season. And as a freshman, averaged 12 points. Sophomore, 12 points. Junior, 18. Now he's averaging 23 and 12. And he's right on the radar to be a really, really high-level pro as well, just because of he just knows he's just bought into a program. He's already he's a senior, doing what he needs to be doing, and he's on record. He's on record books. So just great to see that for a kid like that to buy in. And there's no exact path to be a pro, but when you're going to be an All-American at that level, averaging 23 and 12, the pros and the people that pay money for at the next level play basketball even more so are going to be calling. So shout out to you, Camden.
Lyndon, round us out.
Yeah, and one that we just missed because they announced this right after we made our run sheet last week, but Cameron Kahn, DBU, being named the national, I believe it was National Player of the Week in Division II last week at Dallas Baptist. I mean, you know, makes me still feel young because this was one of the first guys one of the first, cycles that I was really with Gasso. With his Sulphur Springs teams in high school with Coach Sip there that made it to the state tournament. And he played against my brother for a few years in his, early years at DBU when Logan was still at St. Ed's. So he's still around. He still dominates, still putting up crazy numbers in DBU. I've seen some clips of them. They're the real deal this year.
Love it. Last segment, where to next? Blue?
I'll be going headed south. No, I guess. I don't know what that is. Cy-Fair. I'm going to Cy-Fair first. Catch a few games there. See Coach Ament of Cypress.
Friend of the program.
What's that?
Friend of the program.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. And then I'll be heading down to the Diamondbacker to go catch a couple of games in San Antonio at Reagan High School with long colleague Tim Littlefield, who just informed me he'll be there. And Tim's done. Just shout out to Tim also, because he's just done a wonderful job. He's not able to do this kind of stuff with us just because of his schedule, being a teacher and so forth. But we appreciate him, and I get to hang out with him. I don't know if y'all saw him at all last week. I know he was bouncing around. Love it.
I will be at Cedar Hill on Thursday, and then I'm going to be streaming all weekend, man. Like I'm getting so much done with NFHS. When you've seen all the kids in person at the Gassos, you can just swarm the state with a full assault on streaming.
Me and Lyndon will also be at Cy Hoops. Blue, do I get my own hotel room, or me and Lyndon sharing? You getting your own hotel room? How's that work?
I think you got the pull out, and then you can have it.
That's crazy. We'll be down there also.
I'll make sure the bar is a little softer for you.
That's been a staple for us heading down there. Lyndon, I don't know if you have any other thoughts, but I'm excited. I might pop over to San Antonio. Like I said, I just have to figure out where my dog is. I got to go get him at some point. So I might pop over to the Diamondbacker also. But
make sure your mom
all
doesn't
I know
sell them.
Yeah, no, she won't do that. But yeah, Lyndon and I will be at Cy Hoops.
Love it. Hey, thanks for tuning in. We hit 400 and how many were we at?
21.
421 people. Thanks for tuning in. If you have
What are y'all doing at 2 p.m.? That's crazy. What are y'all doing at 2 p.m.?
I have wanted to
love
say
it.
something, though. I wanted to say something here because we talked throughout the entire week, just for our audience to know. Yeah, we come in, we collectively talk on Monday. Well, throughout the entire week, we're talking, we're texting. Hey, we see this guy, we saw that guy. We go through our scouting service information on Monday, which can take hours between the four of us.
Hours.
It's yes. It drives you headaches, but we love doing it. And then when we get to this point, Timmons is over here putting together the GASOcast. We go in and we fill in our blanks that we need to, what we're going to talk about. So basically, when I'm learning something here by listening, so, the audience it's not just y'all, it's us like going into great detail when we're able to kind of sit down and give you information. It's, I learned a lot from our team here, and it's fun. I mean, even though this one was a little bit longer, it's just, never stop learning.
Hey, if you know anybody from Celsius, we like the Celsius boys topic. So connect us because we want to make that a thing.
Facts.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Make sure you're following us on all social media channels. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.